what most people say about it, which is that it helps me understand myself. It makes my own behavior much more understandable, so when sometimes I'm puzzled about what I'm trying to do, and it helps me help other people.
It works both really well in your personal life, but also as well in your professional life. So I think, exercises in empathy, better understanding from where people come from. I think kind of breaking that down through the framework of TA is incredibly useful.
I love it because you can use it with anybody of any age. The children get it. Everybody gets it. I mean, it's very easy, and people will say, I don't know how to change. And the answer is, but I do. I know how to change. I know how to do that process, and I will teach you.
It's like one of the cool things about TA is how all the parts interlock, so that just as the individual plays games that reinforce their script by getting the kind of strokes that lead to their payoff, add that up across society, and you have major social change.
I think it's given me more insight into understanding other people's behaviours, where before I think I'd always take things personally when I have transactions with people, but looking into TA and looking at people's driver behaviours and injunctions, it gives me more insight into why people may behave in the way they behave, and their behaviour isn't necessarily about me, it's more about them and what they've experienced growing up. So it's given me more understanding into the other person's world.
When you're behaving, and most people behave chaotically, they don't really know why they do what they're doing, they just do it. And sometimes it's okay if they're lucky and their history is positive and there have been no great traumas or anything like that, or bad teaching or anything of that sort. They'll behave in ways that make sense, and there won't be a lot of trauma or drama. But when life is full of drama and you don't know what's going on or why, TA with the ego states explains it. It's your child, it's your parent, it's your adult, the way you're interacting with other people.
The contractual element is a whole lot of what made it a powerful thing for us to work with each other in our own relationship.
I'm thinking we'd been married, about 15 years when we started?
Sounds about right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We've been married 53 now. So it's been very powerful. It's also been very powerful in the way in which we raised our children and in which they are raising their children. So it has impacts that spread, ripple effect.
Well, the most important thing is in my very first experience that I mentioned, I decided to live. That was really quite a big deal. Yeah, I was not aware that in not feeling permission to express and acknowledge scare, some of the political action, some of the social service work I had been doing for years, by discounting scare, was setting myself up, not only to burn out, but literally to arrange to be killed. So the concept of closing escape hatches became really real to me, and provided an invitation to give up all games that, excuse me, I don't like the all, but to be conscious of and reduce the use of games to either be a means towards self-destruction, even if it is in service of a higher good or of helping people or political action. It's not worth dying. Nothing is. So.
It's a long-term and it's a systemic change. It's not just a symptom, let me fix this transaction or this relationship. If I can give you principles that helps you communicate rationally, you apply it at work, at home, with your kids. It's fantastic.
I think it's just structure. Before they learn about this, All they know is they think you're not doing the right thing, or they think, I don't like the way you're treating me, or they struggle to get somebody to stop doing something. There's no structure to that. There's just feelings and thoughts just free flowing, and so when they can start to organize those thoughts and feelings into 3 circles, then I think that gives comfort, because it makes you have an aha moment. It's like, oh, okay, it's my child and you're a parent and I do this.
TA is different in that it first of all believes that the person is capable of solving their own problems, and also believes that they need to be involved in the process of every step of the process of change. So that's one of the ways that I think, one of the very powerful ways. And the one that I said at the beginning, which is differentiating feelings from thinking from opinion.
I think it's much more intimate. They can claim responsibility for having created it. They know where it came from. And they also know that they have that child inside them that is just there and accessible to them. And they can talk to that child, and they can heal that child, and they can make a different decision for that child. And the other powerful thing is understanding that they made their life's decision when they were like 5. People find that very hard to believe. Yeah. And TA allows you to communicate that script writing to them. And then they can understand that they made a decision when they didn't have a lot of tools, and now they have a lot more tools, and they can make a different choice.
I think there's a trap in therapy very commonly that someone can go into a therapist's office and they can talk about their problems and they can use it as a venting session, and the therapist can sit there and listen and offer some feedback. But that can kind of go on infinitely in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different manifestations. And I think what I'm gathering from TA and the people I've met at this conference has been that a lot of them were practicing therapists before they found TA. I know my family member was. And once she kind of stumbled upon TA, she realized that it was really a practical way of approaching therapy, and a way to really kind of solve problems, not just talk about them infinitely.
My experience was that my introductory class in TA was the same week as an intensive class in another modality. And I came away from that other modality just sort of confused, and I came away from the class in TA feeling like I knew what to do with clients and had some framework for deciding what to do, noticing what happened, and doing something about it if it didn't come out the way I wanted it to. So I felt that it empowered me to actually have an impact and do the work that I was trying to do.
Well, one thing I think is the very basic thing that we do is the contract. You know, everybody contracts with their clients, but we contract with them at every session. And I think it's giving them a voice in leading their therapy. You know, what is it that you want to accomplish today?
Because I do mostly couples therapy, or family type therapy, and then invariably at the core of the problem is some kind of game that's being played and scripts that are being lived out. So I just explain it. I have a blackboard and I'll stand up and I'll diagram the interactions and suggest ways of stopping and so on and so forth. It's visual and graphic and simple. You know, it's understandable. People can come in tremendously puzzled and hopeless and really concerned. They're describing a situation, and usually I can get up and explain it in terms of ego states and transactions and games, and they'll go, "Oh, really? Is that how it is? You know, makes sense to me." And then next thing you know, they're not doing it anymore, or they're working on it.
It's hard to separate out where I don't use TA. As far as overtly using it in my business consulting, particularly when I'm coaching people, working with an executive, using both the concepts of ego states, the different personality parts from TA, is very helpful to them to see how the dynamics with their staffs or with their customers or whoever they're concerned with, it helps them see that. So I use it in a coaching situation and in sorting out dynamics, because most people, if they're to the point of a coach because of a problem, that they want coaching because of a problem, is they're probably in a dynamic that's represented by the drama triangle, the Cartman drama triangle, and there's probably someone playing role of persecutor, someone playing role of victim, someone playing role of rescuer, and I've found that it's the fastest way to interrupt negative patterns is to have people see that and to learn how to not play their part.
The TA framework is always with me. It's part of who I am now. I think I'm, starting the training in '93, and so I've been practicing for, I guess, 15 years now. And I think that the TA theories like ego state scripts and games are always there. So when I'm working with people, I naturally think those things. And I may digress in other theories or in other ways, but always TA is the fundamental theory that I'm always coming back to.
What my sessions with people look like is to keep inviting them into identifying what they're feeling, thinking about the feeling, and identifying options in terms of how to relate to and what to do about the feeling in order to take care of themselves.
And there's something about drawing the diagrams and writing on the board that for me and my clients seems to, in a way, depersonalize it. So clients are often closed or stuck in the ways they've been thinking about things. And so if they sit in their chair and I sit in my chair and we talk back and forth, sometimes they or I don't even notice how we've gotten stuck. But if I get up to write on the board or suggest that they participate in the writing on the board, there's something about having clients move and look at things from a different perspective, almost as if they're negotiating with the board, rather than me, that seems to free them up in a way that I find they really appreciate.
It's the most powerful therapy out there. It's the best. You can use it with other approaches, but it definitely needs to be in your toolbox.
For those who are interested in counseling or therapy or preaching or any other people helping service, entering the process of knowing oneself and being able to see what isn't working and have a way of correcting that is just so essential. It's really not a haphazard thing that we play games or communicate in a way. Okay, so the other thing I think is useful about TA is that it is it has a language that's consistent with whatever has been learned in graduate school about counseling, about therapy, in a way that's less complicated in language and can be shared with clients. So in the course of working with people, of course, everything's not going to go right all the time. And having a frame of reference to conceptualize what is working and what's not, and what your options are, that's what TA offers me.
Go and find somebody who knows something about TA and say you want to learn, because there's so much. Just be interested in the concepts of ego states. Start there, and I guarantee once you get, I'm pretty sure from my own experience that once you get an understanding of the different parts of yourself, you'll be hooked and you'll want to know more.
Well, I think reading some of the books are useful. Van Joyce's book, TA Today, is a great introduction to transactional analysis. I don't know if I'm okay, you're okay, it's still in print, but I found it very useful. Born to Win was another very useful, basic book with a lot of exercise. So reading, talking to people, and then finding a TA therapist, I think.
That makes sense.
I would definitely recommend you coming to do the TA. I think it's TA 101, which is what I did before I embarked on my training, and it gives you a chance to have more insight about yourself and an understanding of why maybe you experience difficult things in your life. So if anything, just gives you more of an understanding about yourself to improve your relationships with others. So I'd say just come and have a go and embrace the information that you hear, because it's really helped me, definitely.
There are transactional analysis organizations, a big one one that for the U.S., a big one that's worldwide, and other ones in different countries. So I would suggest that people find ways to get involved with those associations. Because doing it by yourself, there are a lot of people who after some years come get involved with the association, and they're so excited to find other people who do it. So do it early on. Find out about the associations. That's what I want to say. And the other thing about them is that all of the associations are very welcoming. So anybody new who wants to meet people who do this and even learn from the so-called greats in the field, the people who've written a lot of books, who speak a lot, you can get direct contact with them. It's not like a whole hierarchical thing that you can't get to the great innovators and the great thinkers. You can interact with them. So get involved.
Come to conferences.
Come to conferences, meet the people, take the classes, think about how to use it.
Practice.
And practice with your own clients and with your own relationships, and notice what works for you and what doesn't.
And watch television and start identifying parent, adult, and child in everything that you see, and get so comfortable with it that you think that way, and you don't have to go through it in a secondary, as a tool. It's just part of your being.
Finding somebody who does TA in your area who you could reach out to and say you would like to learn more about. Because I was in a TA group before I started learning academically about TA, and there was a TA group in my area, a women's group, and I went to that monthly, and I learned a lot about TA that way and put it into my life, and it made positive changes for me. So it could be, if some people are listening, there may be groups in their area, or there may be people teaching.